our ill-structured problem is the lighting on the Huckleberry Trail, and this project is done by Grant Erickson.
Katie Moore.
Rachel McManamy.
Lacia Narne.
Sydney Vocus.
And Yao Jr.
So for our data collection, we used a Google form. Specifically, it was a survey with 5 questions. We shared it digitally and talked to people in person about it. It was very easy to distribute. It was very time effective and completely free. We limited it to Virginia Tech students so we can effectively serve the interests of our stakeholders. And we did this project because bad lighting can be dangerous on the trail, and it's especially unsafe for those on foot.
So as previously mentioned, we asked 5 questions in our survey. We asked how often people use the trail, which shows that more people that use it more often are more likely to understand that this is an issue. We asked what time of day, because people that use it in darker hours are more likely to understand that lighting is bad. We asked the mode of transportation because those who walk are also more likely to recognize that this is an issue. And then we also asked, is the lighting effective, rating 1 to 5, and asked if there should be more lighting. So this data helped to prove that the lighting on the Huckleberry Trail is an ill-structured problem, and the secondary data, which is the first 3 questions, helps us to specify the stakeholders that are mainly affected, which is those who use the trail the most, those who use it during darker hours, and those who walk.
To get a fair idea of the data we collected, we used 5 quantitative data sets. Firstly, the frequency of the use of the trail. This was measured using number of times a week or number of times a month. Next was the time of day that people use the trail. This is measured using 24-hour time, and we gave the students the option to pick certain time brackets during the day as to when they use the trail the most. Next, we took into account the mode of transportation used on the trail, and we gave the students various options such as biking, walking, using the scooter, and a few other options. This is to get a fair idea of what mode of transport was most popular on the trail. Next, students were meant to rate the lighting on the trail on a scale of 1 to 5, where 1 is not enough and 5 is too much. This is to get a fair idea of whether the lighting was enough. Next, students were asked if they would appreciate more lighting on the trail, and they were only given 2 options, yes or no, to get a fair idea of whether this problem was indeed necessary.
So the visual representations of our data are shown on this slide, and figure 1 represents the responses from would you appreciate more lighting on the Huckleberry Trail, and there were no negative responses to this question. Figure 2 shows that the typical time of day that people are on the trail is around sunset, so that could show that there's usually a decreased amount of light on the trail when people are on it. And figure 3 shows the rating of how much light people feel the Huckleberry Trail has currently, and most people feel that it doesn't have enough lighting. Figure 4 shows how often people use the Huckleberry Trail. Out of the people surveyed, most people used it more than once a month. And figure 5 shows the forms of transportation commonly used on the trail, and the most common was walking or running, so this could be more dangerous in the dark than other forms of transportation that are faster.
There were several limitations with our data, and the primary reason being it was difficult to find people who use the trail regularly enough to be aware of the lighting issue. And while we did have a lot of participants, most people didn't use the trail consistently. But overall, the data shows that most people that did participate in our study did see the lighting as an issue. But in the future, if we were to continue this study, we could ask larger groups that were already aware that use the trail frequently, like the cross-country team at Virginia Tech, as they would be more aware of the issue, and this would allow us to draw stronger conclusions.
As for using our data to choose a solution, we cannot. Our data was really only designed to determine whether or not a solution was necessary to this problem, or if this problem was as big as we actually perceived it to be.
As for future data collection plans, we could target the survey, like Lacia said, to people like the cross-country team who are more affected by the concerns of this issue. We could also ask more specific questions about the preferred solution to people who are affected by it, including like the people who live around the trail and what they think would be best used. We could also track the people who use it, how many people use the trail over like a week-long period at all hours of the day, just to see when its highest usage is and how many people are actually using the trail to see what an appropriate amount to spend on lighting would be. And we could also do samples of the different types of solutions to see which one pedestrians prefer.
The data collection instrument used for our research was a Google Forms survey, and as previously stated, the survey consisted of 5 questions pertaining to lighting on the Huckleberry Trail. The stakeholders that were surveyed were students from Virginia Tech who had been on the Huckleberry Trail previously, and the results were all quantitative and recorded in a Google Sheets file. The link for our survey is below, and that's just the header from our survey.